After quite a few box office flops, you would think Warner Brothers would have learned something, but apparently not. 2D animation is an amazing medium, and hand-drawn 2D animation is stunning. Yet, we rarely see such movies in theaters. Warner Brothers had a chance to promote a unique and potentially groundbreaking hand-drawn 2D animated movie that they chose to fund and make, and they did not promote it. The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, is in theaters in the US right now, but the marketing has been abysmal. Social media posts have been reporting that the theaters are nearly empty, and the box office numbers are not looking good, despite raving reviews from critics and moviegoers alike, despite reports that this movie is hilarious and outstandingly creative. Looney Tunes is a well-loved franchise. Surely this movie should be performing amazingly. However, Warner Brothers did not want this movie. They sold the distributing rights to an indie distributor, even though Warner Brothers usually does the distributing and marketing for their films. The movie released March 14th in the US, and then only a few days later, news came out that it was being pulled from theaters. Thankfully, a couple hours later, it was revealed that the movie is not yet being pulled, but it is still a limited release, which this film does not deserve. The reason this movie is performing so poorly and is not widely known about is because of the lack of promotion, which is because an indie distributor can only afford so much marketing. If Warner Brothers had actually put money into promoting this movie and distributed it themselves, it could be doing really well. I encourage you to see this movie if you have not already. It is not out yet in my country, so I cannot provide any sort of review yet, but just look at the raving reviews that do exist. If you love Looney Tunes, if you love 2D animation, this movie is for you. As to why Warner Brothers would not want this movie, part of me suspects that it could be due to the failure of Space Jam: A New Legacy, also known as Space Jam 2. Before Space Jam 2, the last theatrical Looney Tunes movie was in 2003, so when Space Jam 2 bombed, Warner Brothers likely considered the problem to be with the Looney Tunes franchise, not the fact that maybe Space Jam 2 was just a bad movie for other reasons. I watched Space Jam 2, and the Looney Tunes characters were the best part, but the movie overall was not good. Ultimately, it just seemed like a cash grab, trying to dig up Space Jam's legacy and force out an unnecessary sequel. Well, it wasn't even a sequel. Space Jam: A New Legacy is not even canon to the original Space Jam. The Day the Earth Blew Up was put into production before Space Jam 2 bombed at theaters. And you know what else was put into production before the release of Space Jam 2? That's right, Coyote vs. Acme. If you weren't aware, Coyote vs. Acme is a film about Wile E. Coyote suing Acme, the company he buys bombs and traps from, because all his traps to catch the Roadrunner backfire on him, seeming to be defective. Coyote vs. Acme is reportedly essentially completed, but Warner Brothers is refusing to release it, instead using it as a tax write-off, despite multiple offers from large companies to purchase it. The crew actually had a funeral screening where they got to view the movie before it was shut away completely. Another planned Looney Tunes movie was Bye Bye Bunny, a musical about Bugs Bunny being exhausted with being a star and wanting to have a regular life as a normal rabbit. This movie was cancelled, which again occurred after the failure of Space Jam 2. This is all speculation, but I find it likely that Warner Brothers were planning to revive the Looney Tunes franchise, with Space Jam 2 being the first step. They put these other movies into production, but when Space Jam 2 bombed, they decided that people don't want Looney Tunes movies, that these other Looney Tunes movies won't be successful. And that is why they shelved Coyote vs. Acme, cancelled Bye Bye Bunny, and sold off The Day the Earth Blew Up to an indie distributor. Oh, and then I guess they just decided to remove all Looney Tunes content from their streaming service, Max. But, as I said, I don't think the problem with Space Jam 2 was the Looney Tunes franchise itself, and I don't think these movies deserved the treatment they're getting. Again, I highly encourage you to watch The Day the Earth Blew Up in theaters as soon as you can. I know I will be watching it as soon as possible when it comes out in my country. And maybe, just maybe, if this movie does well enough, Warner Brothers just might release Coyote vs. Acme, or at least sell it off to a company willing to release it. Feel free to like and subscribe.